Okay, welcome everyone. So today's the last day of Kartik Purnima. And today's the last day of Bhishma Panchak as well. The last 5 days on Bhishma, they also fasted, and he was lying on the bed of arrows as well. So we just going to discuss just the last bit of the Damodara Lila today. So this is when Nand frees Krishna. So up till now, Nand Baba wasn't there, and he arrived with Balaram and Rohini, and he sees Krishna tied up, and he asks Krishna who tied him up. Krishna does not answer, but so Nand Baba is going to untie Krishna now. So with the demigods gone, Krishna was now free to resume his role as the cowherd boy. He longed for his friends standing up to better see over the fallen branches. He caught sight of them in the distance and signaled to them to come and play with him. The boys were now free from the invisible bonds, were reunited with a glorious friend, embracing him. They didn't know whether to cheer Krishna or caution him. So boys are saying, wait till your mother sees your latest antiques. And you think the mortar punishment was bad? She will tie you to these other trees and make you stay here overnight. The boys laughed at Krishna. However, Krishna crossed his arms and said in defiance, I can pull mountains if I want to. And the boys laughed. Raising his voice, he said, wait and see. Not only when I move a mountain, but I would also lift it. You wait and see. This is the Govardhan Lila he's talking about. So Sridhama said, we will wait for that day, but now tell us, who are those two beings you are talking to? The boys had seen what happened in the and then described that to Krishna. However, Krishna tried to downplay his role in toppling the trees. These boys could never hold a secret. So Krishna said, these were spirits living in the tree who broke out of the trees when the curse finished. The gopis were not convinced, but Krishna changed the subject and started playing with the mortar. They started a new game. In the meantime, the Vrajavasis looked around to see what could have caused such a terrible noise. It sounded like thunder, but the sky was clear. Some gopis visiting from Raval came across Krishna and his friends playing amongst the fallen trees. They reported this to Yashodamai. She thought trees had fallen on Krishna and she fainted out of great anxiety. In her faint, mother was in a panic, was running towards Krishna to rescue him, but actually the ladies were trying to revive her. So Yashodamai is, thinking that she's running, but she's just stationary in one place because she's, half fainted. In the meantime, Nand Maharaj had returned with Rohini and Balram. Nand Baba quickly headed towards the scene of a calamity. Perhaps a demon had attacked Krishna again. The Gopas took sticks as weapons. These are the elderly Gopas. Some of the boys noticed the cowherd men coming and warned Krishna. You're in real trouble now. Krishna told the boys to hide. The boys were giggling and with Krishna having great fun in this adventure. The cowherd men looked for Krishna, but not seeing him, they looked for demons or signs of demons like footprints, but found nothing. At that time, Yashodamai and her friends arrived. She was frantic with worry. It is said that the force of the devotee's pure ecstasy can reach such heights as to neutralize Krishna's divinity. So with his mother present, Krishna was unable to remain hidden, and he whispered to his friends, let us surprise them before they discover us. So Krishna and his friends started playing with the mortar in the open. When the Vrajavasis saw them safe, they were elated. How did he appear so suddenly? Especially it was still struggling with the mortar. At first, the Vrajavasis could not make connection between Krishna, the mortar, and the trees. However, Yashodamai recognized the relationship between the three, and she thought to herself, what if the trees had fallen on Krishna? She was speechless and immobile. When her husband and the others rushed to Krishna, Yashodamai remained where she was, fighting to see through her tears. So, it was said that the two Arjun trees, one can ask who was actually more merciful. Was it Narad Muni? Was it Krishna? But it was actually neither of them. It's actually Yashodamai, because if Yashodamai had not tied Krishna to the mortar, then Krishna would not have taken the mortar towards the trees and released them from that curse. So Yashodamai actually played a big role in freeing the two sons of Kuber from this curse. So meanwhile, they worked out that the mortar was the cause of the toppling of the trees. They were perplexed, especially as Krishna was still tied to the mortar. So they said to each other, Krishna could have been crushed and killed. No doubt Lord Narayan has protected him once again. Nand Baba was contemplating how these two powerful trees snapped at the base like twigs. His brother Nandan suggested, as the children were with Krishna all along, they may know what happened. The Brajavasis looked at the children, who were just as perplexed as the adults. But unlike the adults, the boys were not bewildered by the mystery of who felled the trees, but by the sweetness of Damodara. They knew that he did remarkable things, so they spoke up. It was Krishna, he did it. And they shared the pastime. Krishna was dragging the mortar between the two trees, which then crashed to the ground. And then the demigods, oops, sorry, I don't know what happened there. And the demigods came out of the trees, praying to Krishna, and then left, flying to the heaven. The men would not believe the children, but at least it was some kind of explanation. So they were thinking, the children making up stories once again, trying to say that, their friend Krishna was a hero, really, in this whole episode. After his friend's disclosure of the truth of events, Krishna was a little concerned that the men may give thought to his superhuman powers and show reverence towards him. To offset such a possibility, Krishna applied his talents to childhood play, tugging at the mortar, making grunting sounds and showing irritation and not being able to easily remove it. Observing Krishna's activities, the men said to each other, what fertile imagination these boys have. What stories will they not make up to glorify their friend? Nand Baba moved closer to his son. This was his first entrance into this Lila. Krishna was a little reserved, fearing further punishment. Nand Baba's first concern was for his son's well-being. Seeing the boy playing with this new toy, the mortar, Nand Baba inferred that Krishna was unhurt. Affectionately running his hands over Krishna's every limb, he confirmed that his son was unscared. When Krishna moved the mortar a little, his chest swelled with pride at his extraordinary son. This is our Nand Baba, swelled with pride. Although he had no doubt about the extent of his wife's love for the son, Nand Baba was surprised at the punishment that his wife had imposed on Krishna. Firstly, binding him, but then leaving him alone, without thinking of the dangerous consequences. That was negligence. However, more than anyone else, he understood and revered Yashodamai as a perfect mother. In the binding, she was stricter, and he was a permissive, doting father. To encourage Krishna, Nand Baba smiled at him to reassure him. His father's reassuring countenance eased Krishna's mind, and he smiled widely. In return, his father was not upset, even though he had been so naughty. Casting a mildly reproaching glance at his wife, Nand Baba leaned over the mortar to untie his son. But before doing so, he looked back at Yashodamai as if to ask, may I? Because it was Yashodamai who tied him, so she had the right, really, to untie him, not Nand Baba. Except for Yashodamai, no yogi, jnani, or bhakta, however competent, had authority to bind the Supreme Lord to a mortar. And only one was her equal, Nand Baba, was qualified to free Krishna from the chains, even then only with her permission. Yashodamai replied with a faint but anxious smile, yes. With this empowerment, Nandbaba first untied the rope binding the mortar. Then he turned to Krishna and untied the rope from Krishna's waist, repeatedly chanting, Govinda Damodar Madhav, Govinda Damodar Madhav. And then this is Nandbaba hugging Krishna, visibly untied. So with Krishna free, he embraced him and smelt his head and covered his cheeks with kisses. As the rope that bound Krishna's belly fell to the ground, it manifests its full length, which is the aggregate of all the churning ropes and cow ropes in Gokul. Nandbaba was too absorbed in the ecstasy of loving his son to notice. Even if he had, he would have simply shrugged off with a marvel as another one of the great mystic events that followed his great son. In the spirit of mistreated child, he started to cry, and tearful, he reached his arms towards his father, bending low, lifted his son and held him close to his chest and said, "Oh son, where's this evil-minded person who tied you to the mortar?" Krishna leaned towards father's cheek and wrapped his arms around his neck. Speaking into his father's ear, but loud enough for others to hear, he cried, "Father, it was mother who did it." Nandbaba's eyes found his wife, who was now trying to hide behind her friends. "It cannot be, son. You must be mistaken." "No, father, she did it. You can ask any of the others here. They were there too." Nandbaba turned to the other ladies, but they all lowered their faces or covered their eyes with their veils. The king was upset that his son had been placed in jeopardy. He knew that Yashodamai will regret her conduct, and no words of reprimand from him will match her self-censor. He knew the depth of her love for the son, how much pain that love must now be causing her, so he did not chastise his wife. The young boys closed around to comfort Krishna and confirm Krishna's words. Nandbaba told him what had happened and adding to what they had said before. When Krishna went between the two trees, the mortar got stuck sideways. The trees fell with a crash. The trees fell sideways, never touched Krishna, not even a leaf. Smiling as if he believed the boys, Nandbaba remained doubtful. These boys go on. The stories that dream up. And the Vrajavasis came to reassure Krishna that his ordeal was over. First came the men and then the women. They caressed Krishna, smelt his head, offered words of comfort, and then joined together in the Sankirtan of Krishna's pastimes as the Brahmins recited Vedic hymns. The only ones who did not come were Yashodamai and her friends. Yashodamai stood behind the trees watching the proceedings. Too ashamed to remain, she, assisted by her friends, returned to the palace, covering her tear-stricken face with her veil. At that moment, Yashodamai reached the palace gates. Rohini Devi and Balram arrived from Sahara, where they'd gone. Yashodamai embraced Rohini Devi, crying uncontrollably. News of the fallen trees had already reached them. However, Rohini Devi did not expect this. Why was Yashodamai so distraught? She turned to Balram and asked him to bring his brother to the palace. She knew that Yashodamai's sorrow can be cured by the embrace of Krishna. Handsome Balram ran down the hill. He was looking for the legendary urgent trees. So he asked, "Where are they?" In the meantime, Yashodamai was inconsolable. Only when the joyful Vrajavasis entered the palace with Krishna was she able to compose herself enough to go to her apartment and lock herself in. Nandbaba wanted to purify his son from the day's misfortune. They decided on a bath in the Yamuna. As they walked hand in hand to the river, Balaram caught up with them and embraced Krishna. He asked Krishna a barrage of questions. "What is this new name you have? Why did mother tie you up? Did you really pull down those trees?" Krishna was reserved. Just when he needed his brother the most, he wasn't there. He felt abandoned and would not respond to his usual affable self. Balaram was taken back by Krishna's sulky mood. A wink from Nandbaba told him to be patient. The three of them went to Rajghat, accompanied by the singing Vrajavasis and the mantra-chanting Brahmins. After bathing and performing purificatory ceremonies in the ghat, Krishna and Balaram distributed gifts to all those who were present. After this, they went back to the palace, wondering if there would be any dinner. Remember, Krishna had by now missed several meals because this Lila had started at sunrise, so it's nearly the end of the day now. Of course, dinner was ready. Rohini Devi reminded Yashodamai that her son had not eaten since morning, and even that was an unfinished meal. As sad and embarrassed as she was, Yashodamai immediately set about the task of organizing dinner. She guided her maid servants and friends to the palace kitchen and cooked herself. Meanwhile, Rohini Devi set the table in the grand dining hall, presuming there would be many guests for dinner. After the meal was prepared, Yashodamai again felt the weight of guilt, retired to her own chambers, which she locked. Even a moment seems like a lifetime to Yashodamai, who was waiting until fate would again reunite her with Krishna. As dinner was ready, Nand Baba and his sons, together with the guests, entered the dining hall, were happily discussing the day's events. In the meantime, Yashodamai remained seated on the edge of her bed, staring at the door, waiting for Krishna to open it, but he did not. After dinner, Nand Baba took Krishna and Balaram to the cowshed to oversee the milking of the cows. There was especially a beautiful white cow which Nand Baba would personally milk. Today, he showed the two boys how to milk this majestic cow. He filled a bucket of milk from her, then gave the milk to the two boys, also to Krishna's friends who were with him. Today was Diwali, and there was to be an evening of festivities, but Nand Baba decided that it was wiser to resolve the conflict between mother and son rather than attend the festivities. So they headed back to the palace. The ladies informed him that Yashodamai had not eaten nor was speaking to anyone, was feeling very sad. She was, of course, sad for tying up Krishna, but her sorrow increased 1,000-fold by her son's neglect of her. Nand Baba embraced his son and, placing him on his lap, put the question to Krishna. Dear boy, these ladies say that your mother is very sad. Will you go and appease her like a dutiful son? Krishna looked up at his father and replied assertively, No, I will not. From now on, I will always remain with you, father. The ladies asked Krishna, If you do not go to your mother, whose breast will you suckle? Krishna was ready with an answer. He said, I'm a big boy now. I'll bring warm milk from the white monarch of my father's cow, just like I did today. So the lady said, Then with whom will you play? Who can entertain you in those ways in which your mother is most apt? Krishna said, My father, I will play with my father. He's the emperor of all gamsters, and I will play with Balaram as well. Krishna had forgiven Balaram because Balaram related to him that he was forced to go with mother, and if he had stayed behind, Yashodamai would not have been able to tie him. He was, of course, overestimating his power in relation to Yashodamai's love for Krishna. So there was no contest. So the lady said, What about your brother's mother, Rohini Devi? Will you go to her? I will not go to her either. She abandoned me, as a result of which I was shackled all day. And Rohini Devi heard this from Krishna. Tears welled up in her eyes. She loved Krishna even more than Balaram. Searching for some way to uproot his stubbornness, she appealed to Krishna's love for his mother. Oh, my son, how can you be so heartless and cause your mother such pain? Even Dhruv Maharaj forgave his stepmother, as did Lord Ram. Why can you not find it in your heart to do so? Authority of his father's support fueled Krishna's huff. Turning from Rohini Devi to Nand Baba, Krishna buried his face in his father's loving arms. Nand Baba embraced Krishna tightly, but he could sense that the boy still longed for the sanctuary of his mother's tender warmth and love. For Krishna, there was no embrace like that of Yashodamai. Even though he was certainly enjoying these rare, tender moments with his darling son, being free of any trace of envy, Nand Baba devised a plan to conjure up Krishna's suppressed affection for his mother. So he held Krishna at arm's length, and in the tone of a royal proclamation, Nand Baba raised a slightly threatening hand and said, Son, say the word, I will give that woman a suitable thrashing. As king of Raj, I cannot tolerate injustice. If sin is perpetrated by one of my own family, I must act on it, lodge a complaint, and then just see what I will do. So hearing this, Krishna was bewildered, shocked. So Nand Baba's strategy worked like a charm. The very thought of anyone striking his mother obliterated Krishna's huff, brought tears to his eyes. Getting hold of Nand Baba's threatening hand, Krishna shouted, "No, no, you cannot." As a perfect strategist, the monarch unfolded the second phase of the scheme. Appearing to ponder Yashodamai's past conduct and her present isolation, Nand Baba said, "You're right, my son. Someone who put another in mortal danger should not be surprised if fate metes out the same punishment to them." The ladies of the court gasped. Krishna again called out, "No, that can't be, never." Krishna was finally unable to tolerate separation from his mother, jumping off his father's lap, which delighted Nand Baba, and frantically cried, "Where's my mother? I have to go to her. Where is she?" Krishna ran to Rohini Devi for shelter, repeatedly crying, "Where is mother? Where is mother?" Rohini Devi comforted the boy and, embracing him, reassured him, "Do not fret. Come with me. I will take you to your mother." After what seemed like eternity, Yashodamai saw her door open cautiously and silently. Only Rohini Devi and Krishna were so bold. It was both of them. As soon as Krishna saw his mother through his tears, Krishna ran weeping to Yashodamai, climbing onto her lap and wrapping his arms around his neck. The aggregate for all happiness in the world, when multiplied 1,000,000 times, could not match a drop of the ecstasy that Yashodamai felt with Krishna in her arms. And similarly, if the aggregate all the love in the world was multiplied 1,000,000 times, could not match a drop of the love that Krishna felt for Yashodamai's embrace. So it's such a beautiful picture, the reunion of the mother and the son. Holding each other heart to heart, they both felt complete, for each was half of the whole that was the union. Rohini Devi reminded Yashodamai that Krishna must still be hungry, as he had missed several meals. Yashodamai heard the words, "Will you not feed your son?" She immediately came to external consciousness. Like a dutiful mother, she placed Krishna with her breast milk. Rohini Devi had the dining table set by the maidservants in the privacy of Yashodamai's quarters, and she said to Yashodamai that, "Now you must dine with your son, for he has been picking at his dinner without your presence." Hearing these words, Yashodamai finally rose to her feet with Krishna still in her arms, took a seat at the table. Balram also came rushing to Yashodamai. The queen embraced him with a free arm. For each morsel that Krishna ate from her blessed hand, Yashodamai would eat an equal amount. Krishna saying, "Mother, eat more." Yashodamai said, "If you eat more, I will match you." Krishna was won over. However, Yashodamai could hardly face her husband. She also feared the censor of the villagers. However, right now, those fears had to be put aside in order to serve Krishna. Krishna was tired. Balram and Rohini Devi took their leave, and Yashodamai lovingly held Krishna in her arm for some time. And as you can see here, beautiful picture of them lying down, Yashodamai putting Krishna to sleep. Then she placed him on the same bed from which he rose that morning. Krishna asked his mother to tell him a story. She told him the story of Dhruv, which Krishna, especially when Narad advised the little boy, and then gradually Krishna fell asleep. So for 3 days, Yashodamai remained in her chambers, afraid to appear before the king. So at the start of breakfast on the 4th day, Nand Baba requested his son, "My boy, your mother is sulking and has thus deprived us of excellent services. Please go to her, and only in the way that you know how, ask her to once again grace us with her presence. We miss her terribly." Krishna immediately went to fetch Yashodamai, and soon after he emerged with her. Yashodamai's face was flushed with embarrassment. But Nand Baba did not say anything negative to her, concluding that her pain in days of exile was sufficient punishment. So he said, "O goddess, whose glories are sung throughout this land and beyond, or you who are maternal affection personified, although we have eaten excellent preparations in the last 3 days, without the touch of your lotus hand, even the best food has not satisfied us. No matter what Rohini Devi cooks, your whimsical son will not eat because he has not been served by you. Please save him from wasting away, and thus save us all, who live only for him. Yashodamai's eyes welled with tears, her heart flooded with bliss, and symptoms of ecstasy danced in every limb over her body. In the days following the reconciliation of this divine family, Vrajavasis continued to give moral support to both the queen and the darling son. The ladies hungered to help heal the wounds caused to both Yashodama and Krishna from recent events. They would like honeybees attracted to Krishna and his irresistible sweetness, his smile, features, speech, everything indescribably attractive to the senses, mind, and heart. Everything that he was or did was a novel intoxicant. Every moment with Krishna was a festival of indescribable joy. And just as he completely mesmerized the Vrajavasis, Krishna was completely mesmerized by them. Yashoda Damodara ki jai. Radha Damodara ki jai. Kartik Mas ki jai.
Well done. Great. Any questions? Any comments? Thank you so much, everybody. It was a nice Kartik celebration.